Okay, so get this. We're diving into gospel music, A&D presidential politics today.
Interesting combo.
Yeah, right. A bunch of you requested a deep dive on Nathaniel Bassey.
Oh, yeah, the Nigerian gospel singer.
Right. He got invited to perform at President-elect Trump's inaugural prayer breakfast.
Okay.
So we've got a whole stack of news articles to unpack for this one.
Sounds fascinating.
It really is. It's like this crazy mix of faith, international influence, and...
Well, yeah, the political landscape is pretty wild right now.
No kidding.
Yeah. You know what struck me right away?
What's that?
It's the contrast. You've got Bassey.
Who's known for?
Yeah, he's known for this powerful, almost like ethereal worship music.
Uh-huh.
And he's set to perform at an event that's tied to Trump.
Yeah.
And Trump's often characterized by, well, let's just say a very different energy.
You can say that again. That's what makes this whole thing so interesting.
Yeah, certainly.
But before we get into like the potential clash of styles, maybe you can give us some context. What exactly is this presidential inaugural prayer breakfast?
Oh, right.
Some of our listeners might not be familiar with it.
Yeah, it's actually got a longer history than you might think.
Oh, really?
It goes all the way back to 1953.
Wow.
And it always happens right before the official swearing in.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Even though it's like steeped in tradition,
Uh-huh.
it's not actually run by the government.
Oh, so it's not like a mandatory thing.
No, not like a, oath-taking with hymns thrown in.
Gotcha.
It's organized by a private group.
Interesting.
And the focus is really on prayer and reflection.
Okay.
The idea is to offer spiritual support for whoever's coming into office.
Regardless of...
Yeah, regardless of party or anything like that.
So a moment of unity before things get really political.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Now back to Nathaniel Bassey.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I'm not super familiar with his music.
Sure.
But even I've heard of the Hallelujah Challenge.
That was huge.
It was huge online.
Oh, yeah, his reach is incredible. And Bassey's not just a singer.
Oh.
He's a pastor.
Okay.
And a really skilled trumpet player, too.
Wow.
Yeah. And you can hear that musical background in his work. There's a real depth and richness to his sound.
So we're not talking about your typical Sunday morning hymns here.
Definitely not.
Interesting. But okay, back to the prayer breakfast.
Right.
Why him? I mean, there are so many talented gospel artists
Oh,
in the U.S. alone.
Yeah.
So why invite someone from Nigeria, especially given, the, shall we say, complex relationship between Trump's base and anyone not born in America?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I think so.
I mean, on the one hand, it could be a gesture of inclusivity.
Right.
Like an acknowledgement that faith is global.
Mm-hmm.
But it also makes you wonder about the role of this whole event.
Especially.
Yeah, especially in today's political climate.
Is it really about unity, or is there something else going on?
Exactly.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Right.
It's easy to see this as just like a nice musical performance.
Yeah.
But you're saying there might be more to it.
Well, think about it. This isn't just any inauguration.
True.
Trump is coming back into office after Biden dropped out.
Right.
And you've got the whole political climate with J.D. Vance as VP.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of baggage and expectation.
For sure.
And this event could be a way to shape the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And the choice of performer is crucial.
So Bassey's music, which is known for its message of unity, could be used to soften the edges of a politically divisive administration.
That's one way to look at it.
Interesting.
Or maybe it's meant to appeal to a specific demographic, like a way of signaling certain values to a particular audience.
Okay.
We have to really dissect the event itself to know for sure.
This is getting fascinating.
I know, right?
We've got the historical context of the prayer breakfast.
Yeah.
The political intrigue of the Trump administration.
Uh-huh.
And now this whole wild card element of Bassey's music.
And all the potential interpretations.
Exactly. What else should we consider before we unpack the significance of this invitation?
Well, we can't forget about the other key players involved.
Like?
Well, like Reverend Mary Turner. She's the host of the event.
Oh, right.
She's a figure worth exploring.
Okay.
And then you've got the speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Alveda King.
Who's?
She's a civil rights activist and Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece.
Wow.
And then there's Pastor Mario Pramnick.
Okay.
They all bring their own perspective and influence to the stage.
It's like this carefully curated mix of personalities and messages, all converging at this seemingly simple breakfast.
Right.
And with Bassey's music woven into it all, I'm starting to see why you find this so interesting.
Me too. It's much more than just a musical interlude.
Yeah.
It's a platform for carefully crafted messaging.
Uh-huh.
And Bassey's presence adds a whole new layer of complexity.
Definitely.
It's interesting, you think about the optics of it all.
What do you mean?
Well, you've got Bassey performing alongside these other speakers.
Right.
We were just talking about Dr. King.
Representing you.
Yeah, like a legacy of social justice and racial equality.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Bassey, this internationally known gospel artist from Nigeria.
Yeah.
It creates this powerful image of diversity, doesn't it?
It does.
But does that image maybe mask some deeper tensions?
That's a good point. It makes you think about the audience for this event.
Exactly.
Like, is it really a genuine attempt at bridging divides?
Yeah.
Projecting this image of unity to the world?
Right.
Or is it more about appealing to specific groups in America?
That's the million-dollar question, I think.
I think so, too. And to answer it, we have to go deeper.
Yeah, we can't just stay on the surface.
You mentioned the Hallelujah Challenge earlier.
Uh-huh.
Millions of people around the world participated in that online.
Yeah, it was huge.
But here in the U.S., Trump's return to the presidency has been tied to a very specific type of Christianity.
A very specific brand of evangelical Christianity.
Yeah. So there's a potential disconnect there.
Potentially.
Bassey's music might resonate globally.
Yeah.
But how will it land with Trump's core supporters? Many of whom might not even know his music.
Right. And it gets even more complicated when you bring in J.D. Vance.
That's VP.
Exactly. He's been so outspoken about his own faith.
He has.
And his presence at this event adds another layer of religious symbolism.
It really does. It's like they're trying to create this perfect storm of faith and politics.
Yeah.
But will it work?
That's what we need to find out.
So you're saying Bassey's music might be a way to bridge the gap
Potentially.
between this global message of unity and a more, narrowly focused political agenda?
I think that's a valid interpretation.
I mean, his music is incredibly powerful and moving.
It really is.
Could that be enough to overcome any ideological differences in the audience?
Well, that's the fascinating part, isn't it? Music has this incredible power.
It does.
To transcend boundaries and create these shared experiences.
Yeah.
Think about the lyrics, the instrumentation, the way his voice just soars. It evokes a sense of awe.
And reverence.
Yeah, and that can be really moving no matter who you are or what you believe.
Okay, but can that emotion really bridge the political divides in America today?
Right.
We're talking about a country where even religion has become super political.
That's true.
Can Bassey's music cut through all that noise?
It's a tall order, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But if anyone can do it, maybe it's someone like Bassey. His music seems to tap into something universal.
Like what?
Like a longing for connection and transcendence.
That makes sense. It'll be fascinating to see how people react.
Yeah.
Not just the people at the event.
But the whole world watching.
You've really got me curious about this performance now.
Good.
It's not just some musical interlude anymore. It's like a potential turning point.
Yeah.
This moment where faith music and politics collide on a global stage.
Exactly. And don't forget, this is just the beginning.
Okay.
Well, we focused a lot on Bassey and the political stuff, but we haven't even talked about the cultural side of things.
Oh, right. We've barely scratched the surface of what this could mean for gospel music.
Especially when...
The growing influence of African artists.
Exactly. Bassey being at this event, it's not just a personal win. It's symbolic of a larger cultural shift.
Okay.
Like a recognition of the power and beauty of African gospel music.
Yeah, and that shift has been a long time coming, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
We've seen artists like Sanak and Ada Ihai gain international recognition.
And Joe Medal.
Right. But this feels different somehow.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like Bassey performing at this event. It elevates African gospel music to a whole new level.
Of visibility and prestige.
Exactly.
It's almost like a live cultural exchange.
Yeah.
With Bassey's music as the bridge between these two very different worlds.
I like that. And that bridge goes both ways.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Think about the American audience.
Yeah.
A lot of them might be hearing this style of gospel for the first time.
Oh, I can already imagine people being blown away by the energy.
The passion.
The blend of African rhythms and contemporary gospel sounds.
It's a musical fusion that's familiar, but also fresh.
Yeah.
And it has the potential to reach so many people.
Makes you think, right. Could this be like a pivotal moment? Not just for Bassey's career, but for African gospel as a whole?
It's possible. I mean, this kind of exposure can open so many doors.
To like
collaborations, tours, even record deals with big labels.
And not just for Bassey.
Right. It could pave the way for other African gospel artists to break into the American market.
Okay, so like a ripple effect.
Exactly, expose American audiences to this vibrant music.
Yeah.
And they might start seeking out other artists from the genre.
It's almost like a cultural awakening.
Yeah.
This whole new world of musical expression just waiting to be discovered.
Right. And it goes beyond just the music itself.
Okay.
It's about representation, you know?
Mm.
Seeing someone like Bassey up there performing for the president, it makes people realize that gospel music is global.
Yeah, it challenges the idea that American gospel is the only real gospel.
Exactly. Like it forces people to rethink their definition of what gospel music can be.
And who knows, maybe this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
We might see more African gospel artists at major events.
Collaborating with American artists, top of the charts even.
Wow, if that happens, this prayer breakfast will be seen as a turning point.
Potentially.
A real turning point in music history. But, okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is still just one event, one performance.
True, but it's a performance that's loaded with symbolism.
Yeah.
And potential.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that music can break down barriers, bridge divides, create moments of shared experience.
That go beyond politics and ideology.
Right.
That's what makes this whole story so fascinating.
Right. It's not just about a musician at an event.
It's
about faith. Music, politics, and culture all coming together.
in this one moment.
Yeah, and it makes you think about the role of faith in our society. The power of music to bring people together.
And
The complexities of cultural exchange in a globalized world.
it's a good reminder that even simple events can have a huge impact.
Definitely.
That music can be a force for change.
And that we shouldn't underestimate the power of human connection.
This has been such an interesting conversation.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you for, guiding us through all of this.
Of course. And to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. Pay attention to the music around you. It might just be telling a story that's bigger than you realize.